Joining me now is Dr. Svetlana Gherzi. Dr. Gherzi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And you're obviously an expert in behavioral finance. And can you tell the audience a little bit about how this applies to defined contribution and retirement plans? It's obviously a very important topic.
Sure. So in behavioral finance, we tend to study how emotions, behavioral biases, and other mental shortcuts influence our everyday decision making, including within finance. So as it relates to retirement, people are still limited by the same behavioral challenges. So for example, in economics and finance, we assume that everyone is rational. So if they know they should be saving more, if we educate them about saving, it means they will automatically be saving more. Similar with exercising, similar with eating healthy. However, what do we observe in reality? That's not really what really happens. With regards to savings, one study shows that 68% of the participants, the 401k participants, believe they should be saving more. However, in reality, we're seeing that only 11% of Americans are saving enough for retirement. So where behavioral finance comes in is we can actually identify those specific behavioral challenges, and we can try to provide solutions to advisors, to plan sponsors, so they can work with their clients in order to achieve what should be the rational outcome for clients. So we really want to encourage people to start thinking about retirement and planning for retirement early. In general, we're really good at planning. So if you think about vacation, we love planning for vacation. It's we anticipate the great outcome. We love thinking about it. We love discussing it. With retirement, it's slightly different. We're talking a longer time frame. It's a far, far away event. There's much more uncertainty to take into consideration. We don't know how our preferences will change. Even think about values. What were your values 20 years ago as to compare to now? I would assume they've changed slightly. So how can we even begin imagining what they will be like in 20 years when we do go into retirement? So there's a lot of uncertain and unclear things to consider, which are complex decisions. And in general, we don't like to think. We're cognitively lazy individuals. So I'll give you one example. In a study, men and women were invited into a room. All the gadgets were taken away, so no phones allowed, no iPads, no distractions. All they had to do was sit there and think for 15 minutes. If you think it's a luxury for some of us, right? Just, think about anything you want, even that vacation. Or you had a button next to you. If you press that button, you'll give yourself an electric shock. What are the options? Sit for 15 minutes and think, or electrocute yourself. Turns out that 3/4 of men chose to electrocute themselves than to think for 15 minutes. One guy gave himself 190 electric shocks. He had to be disqualified from the experiment. The point of the experiment is that actually causing yourself physical pain is less painful than trying to engage your deliberate thinking system. So we really need to get people to start thinking about their retirement and getting ready for it. And when we have complex decisions to deal with, we tend to defer them as well. Something that is known, you might have heard of as ostrich effect. So for example, again, it can be applied in multiple scenarios. When people receive, say, their gas bills, they don't really want to open it right away. When students receive their exam grades, they don't really want to look at them right away. Same with retirement. When you see, let's say, your investment, when you expect your investment to decline, you're less likely to actually pay attention to your portfolio performance because you don't want to deal with that slightly, anxious reality. So what we really want to encourage people to do from the behavioral finance perspective is provide them with correct choice architecture, information architecture, and thinking architecture to help them deal with these behavioral biases that would make it easier for them to make decisions.
And this isn't just a thought in the ether of the world. It really is. You have actual practical experience. You've actually implemented a lot of what you're discussing to effectuate change, to build better retirement plans and create better retirement outcomes for participants.
Correct. So on the accumulation side, for example, the Save More Tomorrow program, which you might have heard about, we've made significant contributions already. And in general, the industry has been pretty welcoming about, for example, auto-enrollment features, auto-escalation features, auto-investment features, which have proven to be kind of the easiest way of helping participants. Now we're trying to focus on the next stage, which is the decumulation phase. So with 70 million baby boomers who are about to retire, the industry has been a bit lagging as to providing solutions. So what we've done now is we've put together a Thinking Smarter book And we have an app that accompanies the book, and it's all about setting goals for your retirement. So when we think about our future selves, we're really disconnected from our future selves. So we think of ourselves as strangers in the future. And a study has been done, fMRI studies show that when we think of strangers and ourselves in the future, the same neurons fire, so same regions of the brain light up. So somehow we can help people if we engage them at an emotional level, so somehow connecting themselves, their current selves, with their future selves. That will encourage them to start taking action now. So for example, by setting goals or envisaging themselves in the future, that will provoke them taking actions today to help themselves in the future. So this app that I mentioned earlier, for example, it's a 7-step process system. Each step deals with the behavioral biases. One thing I mentioned earlier is, how do your values change? How do you know what will be important for you in 20 years' time? Well, it turns out that if we take a person who has experienced it already, so somebody who's 60 or 70 or 80, and we consider their values at that point of time, it could be, for example, social engagement. And we think about it, why is social engagement important to them at that stage? Well, maybe the spouse has passed away, the kids have moved out, different scenarios, but just by thinking about it, maybe we can predict our values better. And from that on, we can set our goals that are more relevant to our values. And from that, we can design better income plans.
And it really is, quite frankly, a shared responsibility between the employer and the employee. That's what retirement is in terms of a defined contribution plan. And it really takes collaboration with an investment manager, with a record keeper, with the employer, as well as perhaps an advisor or a consultant. Absolutely. All these parties have to work together to benefit the plan, and participants have to take advantage of the plan. So they have to be engaged, and it really is that sense of ownership of your outcome. So it really is shared.
Absolutely, and I was speaking to a couple of colleagues earlier, and they were saying, so whose responsibility is it? Is it the record keepers? Is it advisors? Is it the plan sponsors? Well, if we don't communicate, if we don't try to make a change from every angle, it's hard to make a change. Inertia, as you know, will keep us where we are, and nothing will get done. So we really, all of us have to think about it. We need to think, what is the optimal solution? What do we want to accomplish, and work as an industry together with everyone to try to achieve those goals.
Dr. Svetlana Gherzi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And thank you so much for joining us.